other day. How do you follow that, right? I'm crying. It actually does exist. There is a virtual reality church that you can go to online. But I watched this a few weeks ago, and I had to ask myself, why not? Why don't we do that? Why do we have this space? Why did this community invest in this space? Why is there, obviously time and money and dollars and work has gone into this space so that this community could come together, right? So that we could be in the same space. I mean, obviously, we had some video worship. I know that there used to be some video messages. So what are we saying is the important thing? I mean, obviously those are important, but this community has said, it's important for us to gather, to be the people of God together in the same space, to be face to face, to be able to shake somebody's hand and to hug them and ask them how they're doing. And not only that, but to be able to allow this community to be available to the public, right? Obviously, coming out of Sean's basement into a public space says, we would like people to be able to be a part of this, be a part of this community. And as I thought about that, I thought, wow, it's a pretty high value of this community, right? To say, we believe getting together is important, right? This is my high value. High value that we can come together. And this morning, I just wanted to think about maybe, I actually don't know if we're living up to that value. Because there's big investment, big value for this community. If we're actually living up to that. And I don't know, we got here a month ago, and it's December, and, we did Christmas parties. I saw some of you guys, Christmas stuff. So I don't know actually how this community has functioned inside and outside of this building, right? And if there's the question really for today is there a community that I can invite somebody to tomorrow? Is there something that exists outside of this space on a Tuesday or a Thursday? And if not, then I think we need to think about what does that mean for us to be a community outside of this space. So as I thought about this, I looked at some verses around community and what would Jesus say? What did he talk about when he addressed community in the Bible? And let's pull up, John 13. So Jesus just got done washing the disciples' feet, right? So the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, the Creator of the universe, kneels down and washes his essentially community's feet, right? He's rubbing dirt and mud and maybe poop off of some disciples' feet, some guys that are going to deny him real soon, turn him into his death, to be killed. He washes Judas' feet, who's about to turn him over, right, to go to his death. And real soon after this, he goes and he's on the cross. He sacrifices his life for us, that we could have a relationship with the Lord, that we could be seen as holy, seen as children of God. And this is what he says. A new command I give to you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. So it's for the people in this room, the people in this community, he's saying, and his example, right, was wash their feet, serve each other, and then sacrifice, lay down your life. And the question is, are we doing that? I mean, we got to start in this room. We can't say, to the entire world, right? I mean, we got to start right here. The reality is, there's needs in this room. People are lonely, they're in need of a friend, they need to be cared for, they need certain things in this room. And the question is, can we fulfill those needs? So go to the next one, just in case we're wondering, what does it mean by love? I'll read it from you. This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. Literally telling us we have to lay down our lives. sacrifice everything for the person next to us. And then I like this because this fits with this community. It's like, if anyone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need and has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person? So if you have something and someone's in need and you don't give it to them, he's going, how can you have God's love in you? That's kind of scary, right? That's kind of like intense. Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but in actions and in truth. So he's saying, quit talking and do something. Like actually show up and do something. Actually serve them in the way that they need it. In Acts 2:42, I love this passage. This is one of my favorites. He says, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching. So this is like the first church. They're devoting themselves to teaching, fellowship, getting together, spending time together, breaking of bread, eating together, and celebrating the death of Jesus, and to prayer. Okay? We're devoted to these things. It says that everyone was filled with awe, and many wonders and signs were performed by the apostles. So miracles are happening. All the believers were together and had everything in common. So they're spending time, they're in like mind. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. They're selling things to make sure all the needs are taken care of. I love this passage because the Christians that I've talked to about this are real quick to be like, no, like you can't have my stuff. Like you can't have my car, you can't have my house. You can't, no. Like there's like a big line and they start going, well, the culture is different and maybe it was easier for them. Was it easier for them to sell their stuff to give to people in need? And honestly, this community, I've heard of a story, at least one, where somebody sold something to supply need. It's a big deal. Every day they met together in the courts. They broke bread in their homes. They ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. So they're spending time inside and outside every day. It says they're getting together. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. So the question is, for us, we desire to be a community that maybe, one, takes care of each other, right? And we see some of the ways that the Bible outlines that would look like. But the question is then for the public, what does that mean? So go back, that first verse we looked, when he says, a new command I give to you, love one another. As I have loved you, you must love one another. The next verse is, by this everyone will know that you are my disciples. So he's saying, love one another in your community. Be sacrificial, be servants to each other, care for each other, and then allow some other people to see it. And they're going to go, you guys follow God. The public is going to go, you guys know who he is. You guys actually know who Jesus is. By our love. So, practically it's we've got to be outside of this space, spending some time together with people in this room, and then inviting some other people. And if we can love each other well, we're going to be able to show them that we actually follow Jesus. It's like the best evangelism strategy ever, right? And yet, what does it require? Everything. Serving, sacrificial, giving extravagantly, right? Taking care. I actually believe this community could take care of every need in this room. And then as people came, maybe daily, right, became a part of this community, I think we could take care of needs. Be able to actually take care of all the needs. I think we could. I've seen some of that already. The reality is this. People that are not in church life, didn't grow up in church. I understand that the hope of this community is to reach out to people that are not church folks, right? That maybe didn't grow up in this kind of gathering church stuff, and that we could be available for them to be a part of our community, right? And the reality is this. We have to make a distinction that attending a church service is different than being a part of a family. Like, I want to talk about a part of. A part of a community is different than showing up in this room. Like, you could show up here all you want, and you could maybe not ever be a part of this community. Maybe never be a part of. So I want to think about family, community, like trusted friends that are caring for each other and there for each other. If we can accomplish that, we'd actually be doing something that very few churches actually do. Like, they're more about coming to this space. Like, show up, show up. So I got 2 stories. I don't think I got too much time, but I got 2 stories. I'm going to go with them. All right. We go to Denver looking for friends. I mean, not really church services, but friends. And we thought maybe if we go to a church, we can find them. We attended, and then still no friends. And attended, right? And still no friends. And then there's some language that I remember. It was like, if you want to be a part of this thing, or if you are a part of this thing, you serve. Like, you work, you have a job. Okay. So now I'm the PowerPoint guy, right? Oh, maybe I can make a friend, right? Nope. I did that for, 7-8 months. Still no friend. Then they're like, hey, we're about to remodel the building. We're buying the building. It's going to be like $2 million. How much you got? I don't know. So now I'm attending, I'm serving, I'm giving, and they're like, oh, you want a friend? Oh, you got to go to small group for that. So now we're going to another religious gathering. We're showing up. It's an hour away. I mean, it was just like, they're already eating. We didn't know they were eating. We already ate. There's like 30 people in the living room. We sit on the floor. It's awkward. Still no friends. We did it like 2 or 3 times, and it's like, why? Why are we going to do this? Like, and the reality is, if we think about somebody outside of church life, they're not doing that. They're not going to attend, serve, give, and show up to small group. They're just not going to do that. They're not willing to do that. So unless we create a community outside of this room that people can be a part of before they even talk about this, we're not actually going to reach out to anyone. I mean, yes, people will show up here sometimes, but we have to have a church outside of this room. And then the last one is this. Maybe 10, 12 years ago, I decided, I thought, man, I really want to follow Jesus. And crazy situations happened, and we thought, well, we better read the Bible, and we better start coming together and talking about it. So me and some friends did that. We had like a few of us, and then we opened it up and allowed other people to be a part of that with us. And I remember my dad one day, he's like, is the circus coming over? Yeah, and it was like this. It was like the cast of characters who show up every Monday, and but here's the deal. We made a place. We made a place for the weird, the people that were different, whatever, and we allowed them into our lives, and we gave them space, and we gave them relationship. And what happens over the next couple of years, it became part of the church ministry, or like a young adult ministry, and that same theme, that community that we had created kept going, and now there's 150, 200 people that are a part of a community. Yes, they went to a church, they did a Thursday night at the church with us, but they had a community where they were including anyone and everyone that wanted to be a part of it, where they were inviting people and spending time. And, there's people doing something probably almost every day, and more and more and more people became a part of it. And I remember after this same kind of community had been around for a few years, I felt like the Lord was like, this is us scraping the surface of what I intended for the church. My plan for the church, this community, is like just barely touching it. And ever since, I mean, I think that's why I'm here today. I think that's why I went to seminary, did the whole thing, because I believe that the church can be something that does meet needs, does take care of people, does do everything, and just is the most amazing thing that we can be a part of. And I actually believe this community can do that. This community could get there. And I think on some level it is. And, okay. So practically, if we follow that passage, it's hang out with some people in this church outside of this space and invite your friend, invite your neighbor, invite your coworker. And if this church can love each other well, they're going to recognize that we are followers of Jesus. And I think that's what it's about. Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for today and this community. What a beautiful community that has just been unbelievably kind and generous and open to anyone. And Lord, I ask that we would be something that isn't defined by this physical space, but that we are defined by our relationships. That we are defined by the times outside of this space where we're loving each other unbelievably well, sacrificing our lives for the person next to us. Where we are serving them as if we were wiping and cleaning their feet. Lord, be with us. Help us. Break down the walls that will keep us from building relationships inside and outside of this room. In Jesus' name, amen. So we'll break up.